Good evening and welcome to 1010 with your top 10 news in 10 minutes. I'm Andy Hong. Hope you're enjoying your first month of school. Yeah, I was being sarcastic. But anyways, we have some serious news topics to cover this week. So let's get right to it. With Al Qaeda announcing its expansion to India of all regions, terrorism seems to flourish all around the world. ISIS, the radical Islamist group trying to build an Islamic state on the rubbles of the Syrian civil war and the 2003 Iraq War, has made headlines recently through public executions of hundreds of Syrian soldiers as well as two American journalists. On Tuesday, ISIS released a video showing journalist Steven Sotloff in a prison jumpsuit on his knees next to a man clad in black wielding a sword, a scene similar to that at the execution of another American journalist, James Foley. The executioner accused President Obama's airstrikes on ISIS targets for the brutality on American citizens. A day after the video surfaced and was verified by American intelligence experts, Sotloff's family decided to speak out. Family spokesman Barak Barfi read a statement asking ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi where his mercy is and why he violated the teachings of Quran, the holy book of Islam. Once again, Obama is under greater pressure to act against this infringement on humanity. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, tensions are rising as Russian arms and personnel cross the border to support the pro-Russian rebellion. Although on the surface, leaders are preparing ceasefire and peaceful negotiations, the remilitarization of Europe seems to be on the rise. President Poroshenko of Ukraine announced that Russian and Ukrainian representatives are working on a possible ceasefire, but most Western leaders, including President Obama, are skeptical. President Putin and President Obama both have their separate agendas. Putin released a 7-point peace plan for the crisis while in a diplomatic trip to Mongolia. Obama, on the other hand, has met with the other 27 NATO leaders in Cardiff, Wales, to consider militarizing the region and to generally prepare for war. But let's not forget the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which flared up this summer and ended only when Egypt stepped in to broker a ceasefire agreement. Israeli attacks have flattened most of the buildings and infrastructure by August, but Hamas, the terrorist group in control of Gaza's government, still emerged stronger than ever. According to the Hamas official, the group had at least partially financially compensated countless families affected by the airstrikes, and Hamas has had an unprecedented increase in popularity. Why? It provoked the Israelis, a superior military force, to a fight and managed to keep a good image of being the underdog, thereby gathering massive support from around the world. Both sides are at fault here. The Hamas for using the Palestinian people for its political gains, and the Israelis for not having enough foresight and brutally suppressing the Palestinian people and thus inadvertently aiding the Hamas cause. There's another armed conflict currently going on, this time in Ferguson, Missouri. Ever since the police shooting of 18-year-old Michael Brown by Officer Darren Wilson, heavily armed police forces have been in a racially charged standoff with the residents. According to the New York Times, Attorney General Eric Holder announced this federal civil rights investigation of the incident. Ferguson has had a history of bad blood between the police and the community, especially with the African American residents. Although many applaud this decision as a step toward transparency in law enforcement and its tendency to discriminate against certain races, some view the civil rights investigation as a threat to many professionals and police forces all across the nation. And in Asia, ever since UK returned Hong Kong to China in 1997, people have expected clashes between the somewhat independent city and the communist government. After several recent pro-democracy protests in the city against the central government, Beijing, according to CNN, put its foot down on Sunday by saying no to Hong Kong's hopes for a fully free election by 2017. Demonstrators took to the streets once again to protest the decision and threatened to shut down the financial district. China is also in shakier terms with the United States, as shown by the interception of several American spy planes through several provocative maneuvers, such as flying dangerously close to the aircraft and showing off the weapons. Rear Admiral John Kirby has called these maneuvers dangerous and unprofessional, but China rejected the claims by pulling the classic "you shouldn't have been spying in the first place" card. In West Africa, Ebola has claimed the lives of more than 1,900 people. The deadly virus has infected more than 3,500 in the four nations of Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Nigeria, along with an unrelated and smaller-scale outbreak in Congo and one confirmed case in Senegal. Ebola is confined in Africa for now, but World Health Organization Director General Margaret Chan urged the international community to help stop the disease before it becomes global. Responding to the threat, volunteers are receiving an experimental Ebola vaccine, the first of its kind. Speaking of revolutionary medicine, the blue copper-based blood of horseshoe crabs has proved to be extremely useful for medicinal use and unbelievably lucrative business ever since its discovery 50 years ago. Just an FYI. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge has been an enormously successful fundraising and publicity campaign for ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. The challenge attempts to make people experience the pain of having ALS, a disease in which the connections, between a person's brain and his or her muscles are severed, and as a result, the body slowly freezes up. As of mid-August this year, the ALS Association has raised almost $16 million. In the same period in 2013, they raised $50K. The association announced that they will focus more on research with the newly gained money. Last month, there was a 6.0 earthquake in Napa Valley. Although, yes, there was plenty of property damage, we were able to witness cutting-edge technology at work to prevent catastrophe in the event of a powerful earthquake. A state-of-the-art seismic warning system gave Berkeley and San Francisco 5 and 8 seconds of warning, respectively, so that the city officials can send out a code red on their radio systems and order the trains to stop. With continued research and hopefully a larger financial grant, scientists hope to one day have a warning system that will send out, according to the LA Times, warnings to the public on cell phones and computers. Comedian Joan Rivers died yesterday at age 81 after suffering from a cardiac arrest. She has always been hailed as a pioneer in entertainment for appearing in numerous talk shows and covering red carpet events. Speaking of red carpet, a group of hackers managed to release personal and nude pictures of various top celebrities. As to why they even took the revealing pictures in the first place, we will never know. It seems that the Apple iCloud has serious security problems with personal information, so make sure you carefully manage what information goes around in your iCloud if you have one. A new dinosaur has been classified yesterday, and it is perhaps the biggest land animal ever to live on Earth. The Dreadnoughtus chironi lived approximately 77 million years ago, and the remains found in Argentina showed that the still juvenile specimen was 85 feet long and weighed 65 tons. With an animal this large, paleontologists predict that it probably spent its entire life eating like some of my friends. That was this week's 1010 News. I'm Andy Hong. Make sure you rest this weekend before your first full school week, and remember to celebrate the anniversary of Tsar Peter the Great's 1698 beer tax. Also, this is the time we sell ourselves out. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you next week with more news. Until then, take care.